facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Charla Anderson, host of The Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. We're on this amazing Win-Win Women platform and Roku, all these amazing streaming services, and just cannot wait to share our overcoming stories and continue on with that as we move forward. So as we always do in my show, I take a 22 seconds of a little mini vacation, a little micro meditation to help us get centered and grounded. So I'm going to suggest that everyone listening or watching would just do that along with me. It's 7 seconds of calm breathing in. It's 4 seconds of holding and 11 seconds breathing out. Gratitude. Okay, so let's do that. Let's breathe in 7 seconds of calm. Hold. Release. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me with that. Take care. That's not a bad thing to do multiple times a day when we're in our techie busy world. We, so often don't take time to be centered, and just want you to know that that is an option to settle. So here we are today with one of my sweet new friends that I literally got to spend time with in Utah and meet Amber Peterson. She's a truly passionate, delightful blessing in my life. I just am grateful to have her today as our guest. She's also Mamas and Money. She's a money expert. She talks about things that I wish I had listened to or had access to 45 years ago, 50 years ago in my 20s when just, my son's 40 now. And so I think all of our lives might have been different had I paid more attention to what was, just a little uncomfortable conversations or, I'll do that later kind of a thing. And here later often never comes if you don't take the steps to do it. So Amber Peterson, I would love for you to just kind of tell us a little bit about, actually just tell us a lot about who you are in this world, and then a little bit about what you do. I mean, it's just, we're all in this to make a difference, and you are certainly doing that. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Charla. I love being here, and it was a delight to get to know you. We loved that weekend we got to spend together here in Utah, and it was just wonderful. So thank you so much for having me. And first and foremost, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I'm raising 4 kids right now from 17 down to 9. They have taught me so much. I think we as women and moms, we have so many opportunities to learn and grow, and they're one of my learning and growth experiences. I'm married to an amazing man, my husband, Zach. We've been married for 20 years now. And, we had a very unique experience when it comes to money. My initial goal was not to really go into money and finance. That was never something like when I was young that I was like, that's what I want to do. But my life journey, I think, brought me to this point to share my knowledge and the things I've gained and the tough times I went through to then share it with those that could be going through the same thing. So when my husband actually started out in finance, he was an advisor for a pretty large firm. And then about a month before the 2008 crash, we ended up moving firms, not knowing what was coming. We moved firms, which also brought us out of state from where we were living. And when we were there, the market crashed. And of course, since we were brand new, this is a brand new job for us, we were let go. And that kind of started our realization with money of, things when it gets rocky, you start to really realize your own thoughts and beliefs around money. And then now what are you going to do about it? So at that time, we essentially hit our own money rock bottom. We lost our home. We had no job. We were looking for work. Financial industry was not hiring. So we were doing odd jobs here and there. And it really brought to the forefront that, hey, all of these thoughts and feelings I'm having about money, that I hate money, that I hate dealing with money. Money is the root of all evil, all of those things. I was like, you know what? That's not working. Why isn't that working? Right? That's what we're taught. That's what we're told. It's not working. So now what? And then that's when I started my journey. I said, okay, I need to start learning even the basics around money, even though we had two small kids at the time and we were learning as we go. I was like, I need to learn some more things. So I started learning. And then it brought me to a financial professional position where I got my licenses. And then throughout this whole journey, I said, what was the underlying thing that brought me to where I am today? And that was the change in how I viewed money and what I could do with money. And so that's really what brought me here today, because I want to really share with women and everybody, of course, but women especially and moms, that they have the power to create what they want to with their money.
That is amazing. And, often people get so distraught when in that situation, many situations, that they don't survive, literally. And we've heard that over the decades of that story, people not surviving because they chose not to. Honestly, it's a choice. You have to dig deep, and it's humiliating and horrible to hit that rock bottom place. But look at you now, and how much you can teach others, and how you learn. And because I'm talking mostly these in my show, it's about overcomers and about how we can offer hope and how we can offer healing and how we can offer a different mindset and to love ourselves enough to find a way through these situations rather than despair and distraught. I mean, you can't even imagine. Looking back now, it's like, how did we do that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's places in my life I'm like, I don't recognize that person. What, how did we do that? And it's just an interesting story to me. To you think you're trying to feed kids, and you're having to live on bread and water or scraps, or rely on family, or whatever you have to do. But you did whatever you had to do.
Ah.
And it took you to this place that I know you now, of peace, of passion to make a difference, of joy. You've done it. You've done the hard work to get there. And I really would love to hear more about that. Or, mindset is such a huge piece of this. And so whatever is on your heart that is important for you to share, have at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I found so empowering, especially if someone is stuck in that, going through, I call it in the middle of the heart, when you're stuck there and you're feeling like there's no way out. One of the things I really appreciate is my training on just mindset work, because you really have the power to create different results in your life. And what I noticed for me, especially, is that I would start to notice my thoughts. So if there we were at home, we knew we were losing our home, we're bringing in a little bit of money so we can just survive and just get the basics for us and our kids. And I would think, I hate money. I hate money. Well, come to learn in my journey that that's what I'm projecting out. And whether it's our brain, the universe, it tries to make us right. So if we're saying, I hate money, I don't want to deal with money, then you're not going to be very successful with money.
You get more of that. You
Yeah,
get
you
more
get
of
more of the
what you're focusing on. I don't want to
Yes.
be late. I'm not going to be late. I don't want to be late. Guess what? You get the train, you get the school zone, you get the, hit the curb because you're mad. And, upset draws upset. So
It does.
mindset, understanding that little, and it's not little, it's probably as big of anything that we can ever learn. But if we learn
Yes.
that, to control that upset, that and our words, because every word matters, everything I talk about is
Yes,
every
speak
word
into existence,
matters.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and
Yes.
you had done mindset work because of that. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, so I was
along that
looking at
time.
yeah, I was looking at what I was saying and thinking, and I was like, "That's not working. It's not bringing me what I want." We kept going through more of the hard, and it wasn't changing. And I said, "Okay, well, what if I started to see things differently?" And sometimes we can't go from "I hate money" to "I love money." That's a massive jump, and our brain's going to be like, "Yeah, that's not right." But we might go, "Hey, I can use money to buy things I need." Maybe that's an easier thought from "I hate money," or "Money is a tool." Or, and then you could start working your way up to start saying, "I'm abundant with money. Money comes to me easily. Money is a tool I can use to benefit my life and the life of other people." And the more we start to view it that way, it directly relates to our results, not just in, the universe wanting to make us right or our brains wanting to make us right. But what I teach is that your thought then brings an emotion. If you're thinking "I hate money," then you're probably feeling frustrated or one of the, an emotion like that. Then from frustration, what actions do you take? You're going to act differently under frustration than you would in peace and calm. And then from those actions, you're actually generating your results. So that's why it's so important to look at what you're thinking and feeling and believing about money, because that is the underlying foundation of what you're creating. And so I
That
think that was a great realization for me.
and for you to understand that too. I mean, it has been so proven. I mean, there's studies all over the place. Dr. Joe Dispenza and all those guys, there's studies all over the place that our minds create our realities. I mean, what we
Mhm.
speak is becomes who we are. And after the words "I am," if you say "I am," the next words out of your mouth is who you are in that moment. So if "I am sick," or "I am mad," or nobody can make us angry without our permission, or upset without our permission. Ding, ding, ding. So, that is such a message that I'm constantly saying on my show, because every word matters. What you think matters. And we are not trained that way, that I've noticed. And at least certainly I wasn't, but garbage in, garbage out. We're not taking in the peace and calm that we can or should have access to.
Yeah, I think it's really sometimes we're more reactionary instead of proactive in how we want to look at something. So, if something, I'll give you an example that happened actually recently. So, my sweet daughter is learning to drive, and she's actually really, really cautious and careful. But the other day, she was backing out of the driveway and smashed the side mirror on accident, right? Money situation right at the forefront. And because I've done so much thought work, of course, I still went through the emotions, but then I thought, what could this do to serve me and to serve her? Instead of like, "Oh, money's so hard. It's terrible. Something's broken again. We have to spend more money." It's more like, how could this really serve us both? And it helped her realize, okay, this is what an accident is like without having to go through the physical pain or making it worse by someone else getting injured, or another car being, smashed. And so it was a great experience for her to go through that process and to understand it and feel it, and then know the steps to come out of it again. And then me as her mother, I was like, oh, it's a great experience for me, because who do I want to show up to be in that moment? Do I want to be like, "Oh, you're terrible. You made a horrible mistake"? It's like, no, as the mom, I want to be like, "Hey, now you're experiencing this. It's not the outcome we wanted. What are we going to do now to move forward?" And so I think sometimes when money situations come up in our lives, we want that immediate reaction of negativity, which I completely understand. It's really easy to do. But then we tend to maybe stay in that and stay stuck instead of like, okay, now what do I want to do going forward that could support me most in my money journey?
Considering that this incident, this thing that happened it just happened. It's just what's so. And when we live in just what's so, okay, I can't undo that moment or that event. I can't undo one thing I've said in the last, generation. I mean, nothing prior to this moment in time can I do anything about other than learn from it. And if I'm not in a place I want to be, I can take a different step next time, or the next step I can do. If I don't like where I am, I've got options going this way. But if I continue reliving this and telling it and reliving it, and really it becomes a pattern, a rut in your brain. And 10 years later, you're still complaining about that same thing. I'm telling you, you're not growing and nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. And that's what people don't understand too.
And I think that's you make a very powerful point, that if we don't learn the lesson from it and apply it going forward, we're going to keep learning the lesson because it's, something that we need to learn to grow and continue. And I just think about my daughter now, every time she pulls out of the garage, she's very cautious and careful. She's taking that lesson and applying it. And I think
the car is wider than she. Oh, I forgot the mirror. Yeah.
So she's applying that lesson. And I think we can do the exact same thing with our money. And another thing I thought would be really helpful to address is that a lot of our money beliefs and thoughts come from well-meaning people in our lives. Our whoever raised us, whether it was a parent or parents, whether it was, grandparents, or even those that surround us frequently, neighbors, friends, teachers, leaders, extended family members, whatever it may be. And we start to take, especially as kids, that information that they give us. And what it is they're sharing their beliefs and their thoughts about money and their experiences with us.
And fear and honestly, fear of lack. Fear of lack is a huge piece here. Mm-hmm. There is no lack in our world. We have a distribution issue maybe, but there is no lack. There's plenty for all of us. And so that is a eye-opening thought that there is no lack, and that we want more of our share, so we're not living in fear, and that we can provide for our families, but not going into that fear mode that money doesn't grow on trees. Where do you think, I remember the first time I heard from a stage, this lady went to my church and she's like, money is good. Money is very, very good. And you could hear the audience going, yeah, but, it's the root of all evil. No, the love of money, the idol of money is the root of all evil. That's it. But to hear that, I was, I don't know. I was in the 90s. So I was an adult in my 40s, I believe. And hearing that going, oh, that makes so much sense.
And I think that's something I wanted to point out, is that even though we may be given those beliefs, we just want to ask ourselves, is that belief or that thing I was offered, the advice of someone else, is that serving me? And you really get to formulate your own idea around money. But often we just don't take the time to do that. We just assume. And you brought up a couple of things. You said money doesn't grow on trees, right? How many of us have heard that growing up? Or you have to work really hard for your money. And we just start to internalize that and just think that's the way it is. But like you mentioned, Charla, you heard someone from stage saying money's good. And all of a sudden it gives you this insight of like, oh, wait, is that true?
How do we live if we don't have money? I mean, in our society, it's a necessary, but it provides for everything we have. And so it is good. It is good. There are forces for evil that tend to use it in a not so good way, and including the distribution of it. But regardless, it's not, money is just an object. It's just a thing. It's a tool. It's not it's not even good or bad. It's our perception of it.
Exactly. So that's why, I encourage, everyone that's listening, whether right now or, later on, just to consider, what do I think about money? What do I think it's a good thing? Do I think it's a bad thing? How is that serving me going forward? Because I think that helps us be empowered to say, oh, well, maybe if money's a good thing, then what could it do for me in my life? How could it then serve me by looking at it just a little bit differently? Yeah.
That's I wish we could just slap people. You know? And not to mention, I watch, you know, I just observe, and there's sometimes the people that the least amount of money are often the most wasteful to me, and I'm like, how does that happen? And I don't think this is the direction I wanted to go, but I I'll use an example of paper towels. When I grew up with my stepdad, and we reused the same paper towel 20 times, and we would not, if it was until it was rags, it was usable. And I I took it one way. It's like, okay, I don't want to be wasteful.
Mhm.
And one of my sisters took it a different way, and it's like, I am never going to worry about paper towels, even when and so it's an interesting thought on that. And then I live with a group of younger people, in my kids and friends and all that, and they'll just tear off 1,000 paper towels, 5 or
Mhm.
6 at a time. And I'm like, to me, it's just wasteful. And when I used to say, "Oh, you're just being cheap," I'm like, "No, I'm going to call myself a good steward." I changed it from cheap to a good steward about things. So, isn't that silly about watching and thinking about the use of paper towels? Is it or not?
Really, it comes down to if that is what's serving you. So, for example, for you, if you're saying, hey, I want to be a good steward, and I feel like being a good steward is reusing paper towels, and not just throwing it away. Awesome. If that's serving you, beautiful, and like you mentioned for your sister, if she's saying, hey, I don't want to worry about paper towels. I want to feel abundant that I can use as many as I need and I will be financially able to keep buying paper towels, awesome. And so that's why I think money is not a one size fits all. We just need to know what's going to serve us and help us create the life we want to have. Now, I do think there's an importance to take note of our stewardship and, how we're contributing to those around us, and to the world at large, because we're all interconnected that way. But at the same time, we need to really decide, how is this helping me going forward? And in addition, what's really tricky about money is we not only have our views of ourselves with money, but then we also have views of others with or without money too. And that can also affect how we are abundant with money, or even the connections that we can make. Because if we think of someone that has maybe not as much, we might view them one way. How is that helping? We might see someone with abundance of wealth. We may view them a certain way. How is that also helping you and what you're wanting to create?
The filthy rich is a term we've all heard, and it's just not the truth in the vast majority of cases. The wealthy, the generosity is incredible among people who have made it well, right, through life. So, I think all of those little sayings are just that. They're little sayings, and they come from a certain situation that is not universal, but we internalize many of them.
Mhm. We do, and it's perpetuated. Once again, like those that love us and want the best for us, sometimes will be giving us the same information that they were taught. So, for example, I think of, the Great Depression that happened within the United States, and they might have said, "Hey, money doesn't grow on trees," because money was so scarce and it really changed a generation at that time. Well, because of that change in thought, they're going to tell their kids, "Hey, money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work really, really hard for your money. You need to save," all of these different things, and it gets perpetuated down throughout the generations. Now, it doesn't mean that that advice is not valid or that we could use it in our lives, but we just want to consider, okay, we're in a different spot today. What do I want to believe about money and what I can do with money? Because that's ultimately what's going to help you move.
I don't know if I've made it into a meme, but it's a saying that I've said, money comes easily. I am refreshed and I have all the time that I need. And it covers a lot of big bases there, all 3 big ones, right? Money comes easily. I'm refreshed and I have all the time that I need. I repeated that a lot. And even when money was not easily available, I still held the saying and my mind began believing that, right? So I feel like it's valid to continue to feed your mind things that are positive. So how are people going to find you, and first of all, I want to know, what is your biggest message? What is your biggest message and your favorite quote?
Oh, I love it. I have so many. uh, it's hard to pick just one, but I guess I'll share the quote that's here on my wall. So I don't know if you can read it from that angle, but it says, when women support each other, incredible things happen. Empowered women empower women. And I think that is so incredible that we all have the power to support and love one another to make the world a better place. So by us learning and growing and sharing that with other women, they're learning and growing, and it has this beautiful ripple effect that all of us can grow and thrive together. So I love that. And in addition to that, my biggest message is that every woman can create confidence with her money, because when she's confident, it empowers her to create the life that she wants. And that money doesn't have to be this scary, this overwhelming thing, but it's something that each woman can take control of and create what she wants to with it. And so I think that is an amazing message, because it's a message that we don't often hear when it comes to money. We get a lot of different other voices and opinions.
Exactly. And you have such a confidence and calm demeanor that I think people will feel, I guess mostly women, but I'm sure you serve couples and men as well. But I'm sure that to me, the way it feels right now is that you have the wherewithal, the means, the tools to help us just ask some different questions, which is probably what the big thing is. And you did also, when I asked you a quote in your interview, and I was like, money will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. You sent that to me, and I thought that was a really good quote as well, right? So
it's true, because money really can take us anywhere we want. It's a tool, like you said. It's kind of like a car. It will take us where we want to go, but it takes us to determine where it goes.
Somebody's got to push the pedal.
Someone's got to turn on the ignition and turn the steering wheel and press the gas, and that's us. And so we really are in control of how that looks and where we go with it.
Well, we have getting towards the end of the first half hour here. If we want to continue, if there's someone on in the audience that may want to ask questions or talk a little bit more about this topic, or ask Amber some amazing questions, or get to know her better, I think I'm going to kind of end this first half in just a moment, but we've got to know, how do we find you? Oh my goodness. And where's your do you have a book out yet?
One is coming. Actually, I'm co-writing one with another one of our amazing show hosts here at Emmylou Penrod, and it's going to be a constructive money conversation. So I'm so excited about that. That is in the works currently. But you can find me at Amber Peterson Coaching Finance.now.site. You can always reach me by Amber Peterson Coaching at Gmail, or you can come, check out one of my episodes on Win-Win Women at Mamas and Money. And we're talking about money all the time. So you can take a lot of great information from there too. And I would love to be able to support anyone that is looking to build more confidence with their money.
Well, I am so honored, literally, that you came and shared little story and, that overcoming of hitting rock bottom with a family, and all that, and surviving, thriving, and then just sharing your light and your message in this world. It's been a beautiful conversation. So I'm going to just what I do at the end of mine, usually, if I can get to it, is like, I want everyone here, to remember that you're perfect exactly who and where you are. You're perfect no matter what. You can't be loved more or less by God. Love yourself enough to receive that. And I choose to offer blessing. May you be blessed. And I will also always choose joy.
Love it. Thanks so much, hon.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show. Encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.